Good morning. So now apparently the latest thing on social media is people are asking about the president in response to his unfounded accusation against Joe Biden about some sort of illicit or performance-enhancing substance he may have taken prior to his debate with Bernie, and talking about taking drug tests before the debate. And now naturally people are starting to talk about, well, wait a minute, is Trump projecting, and what might he be doing? And people have tied this together and posted pictures of his markedly dilated pupils on a number of occasions, despite bright light TV cameras being on him. And what this might mean, there was a comedian who's apparently said that he's personally witnessed Trump sniffing Adderall, and I've seen people asking this, is this still going on? And I think that's highly unlikely. I don't think that's what people should be propagating. It's just low hanging fruit for them to make you look absurd and sensationalist. And no, the president of the United States is not doing Adderall rails off the Oval Office desk. And no, that's not what I think is going on. So, what is my medical theory on why the president often has this sort of erratic, sweaty behavior, very clear, classic psychostimulant behavior and mannerisms, along with the dilated pupils and the sniffing? I think people would put that all together and come to a certain conclusion. I have a different one, and it's not as exciting and sexy as people might like. My opinion, and I think I'm right, is that Donald Trump suffers from a condition that we call rhinitis medicamentosa, which is when people have an underlying case of sinus congestion, sinusitis, allergies. There is a particular drug class of decongestant called alpha 1 adrenergic agonists or sympathomimetics. So these come in tablet formulations such as Sudafed or Sudafed PE, the active ingredient being pseudoephedrine or phenylephrine, or in nasal sprays such as oxymetolazine, often sold under the brand name of Afrin. And these are popular because they are very effective and the onset of action is very quick. You spray some Afrin in your nose and you get a very immediate relief of your decongestion because it really causes the mucous membranes inside the cavity, the nasal cavity and sinuses to really calm down. As physicians, we really advise people against using these for a prolonged period of time. And the reason for that is this condition called rhinitis medicamentosa, which is essentially a rebound effect, where the body kind of pushes back, and that boggy inflammation of the nasal mucosa and the sinus mucosa actually increases. So you have this pushback, this rebound sinus inflammation and congestion. And then what happens? You start using it more. Then the body pushes back more, you develop tolerance, and then ultimately sort of a physical dependence on it. Not the type of dependence we usually talk about. The body's used to it, and like with any drug, you develop this natural tolerance to the substance, and the body is wanting to do the exact opposite of whatever it is that that drug's doing to you. So in this case, you're taking this nasal decongestant, and it is actually causing you to become more and more congested, causing you to use more and more of the decongestant to alleviate your symptoms because it's very uncomfortable, and it causes people to have this voice that sounds like they have a cold and to sniff and rhinosinusitis, particularly when it's year round, can be very uncomfortable. And the only way to treat it, unfortunately, is to just stop using that stuff and to try other forms of decongestant, such as steroid nasal sprays and others. But sometimes people are stubborn and they won't stop. And as you start to use this particular drug class in more excessive doses to alleviate your symptoms, the side effects of the sympathomimetic drug start to become more prevalent. You usually don't get dilated pupils when you use the recommended doses of a drug like Sudafed over the counter. But if you're excessively using nasal sprays, you may actually get very dilated pupils and start to get the other effects typically seen in psychostimulants. And so we've seen that picture from the Trump Tower room when he's eating his taco bowl, talking about how he loves the Hispanics, disturbing in its own way. Somebody zoomed in and took a picture, and there was this entire drawer filled with boxes of nasal or European nasal decongestants, stuff that they don't sell in the U.S. They get it in, I guess it's in England. And yeah, so I don't think people might be looking for something a little more intriguing and exciting and sexy and blockbuster, but no, I think that's highly unlikely. I think the president has a case of rhinitis medicamentosa, and he probably needs to go cold turkey off of the alpha 1 agonist type of nasal decongestant he's using, because I think it's causing him to have a lot of untoward side effects that may be affecting his ability to carry out his job, certainly to give sane, measured press conferences and press engagements. Now the question, would this actually fail him? Is this technically, internationally, in terms of competition, considered a banned PED? Well, it depends. If it's pseudoephedrine, it's considered a banned substance, which is the active ingredient in the Sudafed. So if this guy is doing Sudafed and he takes a pre-debate drug test, he's going to fail. The Sudafed PE alternative, which is sold much more in the U.S. because Sudafed can be made into methamphetamine, and so it's harder to buy. You have to give your driver's license. You can only buy so much. Sudafed PE is more readily available, which is phenylephrine, which is not a banned substance and can be used at any time during competitions. And so if he's doing phenylephrine or using phenylephrine, he should be in the clear. I'm not sure about oxymetolazine and Afrin. I haven't been able to find that or research that. But yeah, bottom line, rebound sinusitis, basically kind of like having a cold all the time. And people just try to use a medication to give them relief. This is why we advise against it, particularly for prolonged periods of time. And someone probably ought to just sit down with them and say, dude, you gotta stop using this. Prescribe them some Nasacort. Go through a crappy week of being very congested, and then it'll get better. So sorry if I disappointed anybody, but this is the likely medical scenario. All right, peace.